Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, before we get going, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoy the content, hit the like button as well. I really appreciate it. Hey, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Another one-run game. They won. Sam Coonrod, another 5-out save. It was Hector Neris last game, but just the fact that you got to go back-to-back and that situation is just nuts. And what the most bizarre thing is, the lineup card. And yes, the lineup card is a hot discussion. It should be. I think it's getting blown out of proportion. Rob Motti of the Associated Press is reporting that Craig Counsell actually had the lineup card that did have De Los Santos in there. And I thought even during the game that this is just a problem due to how lineup cards are actually handled in 2021. It's not the old days where you write it down on a piece of paper, you walk up to the umpires, you hand it on over, and because it was such a late transaction, you figured that maybe there would be a problem with the umpires getting the proper information. The team on the other side had it, the umpires did not have it, so the official ruling is De Los Santos is not available to pitch. Joe Girardi after the game, I knew he would do this. He's just giving you it's my fault speak, and he's owning up to it and saying it's on me, it's on nobody else, it's my fault. I normally double check, yada, yada, yada. Well, double checking wasn't the problem, obviously, because the Brewers had the right lineup card. Also, I was talking to people that I know who cover the Phillies. They were in the press box on their pieces of paper. It had De Los Santos on the lineup card as well. So it's obvious that this is a technology issue, and the Brewers got nailed with this before. Teams around baseball have had this issue before. I know Joe Girardi is the guy that everyone wants to scream at right now and say that this is so ridiculous, it's so embarrassing. Yeah, maybe back in 1975 when managers did it the old school way. It's not the case anymore. To me, the way I see this, no matter what comes out of Joe Girardi's mouth, because I think he's just being the leader and he's just being the guy that needs to stand up in front of the microphone and say, oh, it's on me. We made a mistake. I made the mistake. I should have seen it. All right. Let's move on. It's like, all right, I'll take the initiative here. I'll say it's my mistake, even though it might not be, and let's just move on fully. That's the way I see it, and I think it's getting overblown. I think once you start getting into, okay, bringing in David Hale again, there was one time this year I defended the David Hale entering the game moment. And that's because he gave you 4 2/3, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, and he was really successful for 2 straight games that when you put him out for a third, I didn't mind it because he has given you 2 straight outings of good play. So if someone is doing well, you reward them with them doing well. Now you know it's a disaster again. Now it's clear and obvious that David Hale should not be in the game. So when De Los Santos is leaving the field after he warmed up and got all juiced up ready to throw, you can't go to David Hale. I'm sorry, you just cannot go to him in a situation that you're costing your team. It's just bad to go to David Hale. I thought Jojo Romero did a good enough job to clean up the garbage. He was put in a very sticky situation. And then, of course, Sam Coonrod was awesome. Now, going back to Jojo Romero and just that 7th inning in general, when you think about Jackie Bradley Jr., did you get boned on a pitch? Possibly. Did that pitch change the outcome of that at-bat? Probably. But it is what it is, and you got to battle through it. Good for Sam Coonrod. Not heavy on the workload either, which is definitely huge. So you stick with Sam Coonrod, you ride it out, and he was able to deliver you what you needed to at the end of that baseball game. But why does every game have to be this upsetting? Why does every game have to be this brutal? Why does every Phillies game have to be something wild and crazy? It can't be a standard baseball game where the Phillies win 6-1 or the Phillies lose 9-1. I'll take a 9-1 loss. I don't even give a damn anymore. Just give me something that doesn't take me on this type of crazy emotional journey because I can't do it every night. All right, not every night. I'm starting to get a little ticked off that it's so bonkers every single night. You can't make this up. How about Andrew McCutchen? We thought this man needed an eye test to the point where they literally needed to test to see if his eye still worked. And after the game, he was getting interviewed, and he said, I know I'm a better defender than this. So I'm just trying to dot my I's and cross my T's and make sure that everything's okay because there's no reason for me to be playing this poorly. I am better than this. So you're not wrong, Andrew McCutchen, but now we're at the point. Think about it. You were such a joke that we thought you needed some sort of serious eye test. Now he's up at the dish just rocking home runs. He had a beautiful home run in the first inning. After the Brewers take an early lead and Aaron Nola throws 30 pitches in the first inning, you respond with tying the baseball game up. Lead-off home run in the bottom of the first. Hallelujah. Vogelback crushes one in the top of the first. McCutchen counters with one at the bottom of the first. And from there, Aaron Nola settled the hell in. He had the 10th strikeout in the 6th inning. Oh, it was so electric to see the fans, hear the fans go crazy when Aaron Nola got that strikeout in the 6th inning. And look, you want to criticize Joe Girardi for even some of the double switches. When he did the double switch, put Andrew Knapp at first, it worked. So that's my big thing is you can criticize it all you want that he pretty much put all of his eggs in one basket. And people are calling the Anytime Hotline right now. I apologize. That's why that what's the word I'm looking for here? That noise continues to play out. So I apologize. Let me make sure the Anytime Hotline is off now. It's on, but the screen is closed. When the screen is open, it makes that noise. The double switch, though. They went with the double switch, put Andrew Knapp at first, Coonrod in, and they didn't have any players available afterwards, so you're pretty much putting all your eggs in one basket. I know there were question marks surrounding that move, too. It worked, though. You did what you needed to do, got your pitcher in the game, did a double switch. It might have backfired if you lost the lead and if the Brewers tied the game, and it was very close. You're talking about a man on third base late in the 9th inning. So, yeah, it did get to the point where you're clinching a little bit, but it worked. So how do you knock something if it works and it's something that it was a big reason why you were successful? That double switch was a big reason why you closed out the game. Aaron Nola, though, going back to Joe Girardi, because everything seems to be surfacing him tonight, you allow Aaron Nola to grind through it. You allow Aaron Nola to get himself out of a little bit of a jam that he did. That's giving your number one guy the power here. Hey, man, this is on you, baby. You got yourself in this. Let me see yourself get out of it as well, and no doubt about it, he did that in the 6th inning, getting Nottingham. He had him on a nasty changeup earlier in the game, and then in the 6th inning, it was electric. It really was. You know, Aaron Nola's stuff was so filthy at times tonight that it was even fooling Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy's on the broadcast thinking, oh, what a nasty changeup inside. Oh, that's not a changeup. That was a two-seamer. Did you see the movement on that two-seamer as it came back inside? And it was definitely moving with beautiful touch and beautiful bang right on the inside part of the dish. Aaron Nola, while it was a gutsy performance, the fact that you get into that type of jam in the first inning and you only allow one run, and the fact that you get in that jam in the 6th inning, it's not great that you're getting in these jams, but a lot of pitchers get themselves into those problems, and then before you know it, it's a 5-0 lead for the other team. It's a 6-0 lead. Imagine the first inning and it's 4-0. Significantly different vibes surrounding the game. Instead, it's 1. Aaron Nola has the ability to work himself out of those funks. 30 pitches is a grind in inning 1. You're a little concerned, and you know that you're not heavy back there. Hey, Nola, you got to really put yourself here and put yourself out there and help out this squad, and he absolutely did. So that 6th inning was awesome. He got Urias 3 times swinging for his first 3 at-bats, which was also entertaining. As how you could see the frustration, too, with Urias after he struck out for the 3rd time swinging. Just the body, the way it looks, what's the word I'm looking for when someone had bad body language, the body language and the frustration with the bat, and you could see the disgust in his face. Well, yeah, guess what? A lot of people strike out, Urias, okay? A lot of people strike out when it comes to Aaron Nola. I somehow got sidetracked, though, with Andrew McCutchen. He's been swinging the bat really well, and I've been putting it on notice for a while now. Even when I remember pointing out the at-bat where it was a foul tip. Honestly, it was a foul tip, but it was a different swing that we have seen all year long out of Andrew McCutchen. So I know we didn't put it in play. I know it wasn't something that actually went towards the infield or the outfield. It was a straight foul tip back, but it was a good cut. And that good cut was enough for me to hold on to something with Aaron Nola, because there's no way for the 1 millionth time that he's a 156 hitter. There is no way. Let me repeat. There's no way that he's a 156 hitter. He is way better than that. And as soon as I brought up that one at-bat with that foul tip, you have seen him turn the page offensively. The problem is he's still been a joke defensively. I was waiting after that first homer. I asked this on Twitter. I was waiting for the downfall. I said, is he back? Or is he going to have another hiccup from a pop fly that he should absolutely make 100 out of 100 times out in left field? That problem did not occur tonight. So that's your positive. This team won back-to-back games. You heard it here, baby. They won back-to-back games. So who knows? Maybe they could find a way to cruise through another victory tomorrow. The problem is pitching matchup, not so much in your favor, as Chase Anderson is on the bump, and they have Peralta. But just the fact that you have your fifth starter is what concerns me the most, more than anything else. You can only control what you can control, and that's who you're putting out on the mound. And I don't have the biggest hope in the world that Chase Anderson is going to provide that for you, but we definitely shall see. You know how we talk about just disgusting baseball with this team, and when I say that, I'm talking about poor fundamentals? In the third inning, you had that again. Rhys Hoskins doubles down the left field line. Well, hold on a second. No, he didn't double. He tried to get two, and he was gunned out by, 7 feet. It wasn't even close. What were you thinking? And when you're rounding first base and you're hustling the second, the play is right in front of you. This is what bothers me the most. You're witnessing the play. You're watching the outfielder. You're watching the throw. You're watching the ball. You're watching everything. So in what universe are you turning around first thinking, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to take two and be aggressive. Dude, you were waxed. You weren't even close. I mean, you're talking about legitimate feet. You were gunned out, hosed. You looked stupid. And what bothered me the most is, here comes JT Realmuto. He gets on base. Here comes Alec Boehm. He gets on base. It's like, dude, that costed the Phillies an opportunity. At that point, that might have been, the Phillies might have been up at that point. Yeah, the Phillies actually were up at that point because Andrew McCutchen already hit his second homer of the game. So the Phillies were up 2-1 in that spot. You had an opportunity to knock in more runs. Rhys would have scored then. Luckily, though, Didi puts a ball in play, and Brad Miller puts one to the fucking moon. This thing was launched, dude. The way that the ball was smoked off the barrel of the bat, crushed, annihilated into the second deck out in right field. What Brad Miller did with that pitch, it made me rip my damn shirt off and hump the wall. I didn't hump the wall. Why would I say such a thing? I was so damn excited, though, to see the Phillies take a lead, and I just put in the back of my brain where, all right, maybe, and it was 6-5 late. Let's say the Brewers tied it up, to act as if that Rhys Hoskins mental mistake wouldn't come back to bite them. I mean, it really almost did. It truly could have been the difference maker in this game. So it technically did not bite them in the ass tonight. But that type of play that you constantly get out of this team, because they are unaware of baseball IQ. They don't know what baseball IQ is. They are not a smart team. They are extremely flawed in the brain. And that's a dumb error. That's a dumb mistake. It's a base running mistake that costs baseball teams games. And it almost came back to bite them tonight. It didn't, but they do that all the time. And those, they do. They add up, and they are a reason why teams fail. Just, we're able to overcome it tonight, but majority of the time, you probably won't be. But good for Brad Miller, because that thing was absolutely launched for sure. You did get some weird plays in there, too. These pickoff plays where Vogelback had no idea what to do over at first base. Could he have caught the ball? Could he have not have caught the ball? The ball gets past him. One was for Roman Quinn. Look, Roman Quinn, it sucks for him because he had 2 triples in back-to-back games. And then he gets a single today, but on a bunt attempt. This was after he bunted the ball, or he tried to bunt the ball. It hit his fingers, square fingers, and apparently he needed about 9 stitches, and they're probably going to have to put him on the IL. We're used to talking about Roman Quinn with injuries with all of, something that happens out in the field with the play, and maybe a hamstring or here and there with something with his legs. Well, chalk this one up to bunting a baseball and hitting him square dead center in the fingers, and no surprise whatsoever. He did deliver that single, but it sucks for Roman because nobody's taking control control of this center field position. I don't have the highest ceiling in the world. I think we're excited. This is pretty much what it is. And this is the best example I have. I've used this example before in the past when it comes to Philadelphia sports, which is unfortunate once you hear it because it's somewhat of a terrible spot to be in. But what we're witnessing with Roman Quinn over the last 3 games of him getting hits is when you see a chick who looks hotter because she's with ugly friends. She's a 5, but she hangs out with 2s. She's a 6, she's a 5.5, but she hangs out with 2s. It's like, wow, she's kind of cute. Well, she's not really cute, dude. She's just hanging out with some ugly-ass chicks. That's what you're getting with Roman Quinn, to be honest with you. He's the ugly chicks is Odubel Herrera, Mickey Moniak, and what you got out with the rest of the crew. So, yeah, you know what? Roman Quinn might be playing a little bit better, but he's playing better than absolute slop. Unfortunately for him, though, there was maybe some momentum to be gained, and now he's going to be going on the IL, and they're going to have to make a corresponding move because, apparently that finger is damaged, and I'm not surprised whatsoever considering how flush it hit him there. At some point, right, bunting is a craft. I saw Aaron Nola bunt beautifully where the ball just stood right there by the line. You couldn't wait for it to go foul because it wouldn't. Aaron Nola had that bunt down. It looks like Roman Quinn, for someone who has speed, you got to be able to get your hands out of the way. That's part of the craft. It's part of the skill. You can't go up there and have your fingers that open to get hit like that. There's a reason why, right? So, yeah, this team is ridiculous. This team is wild, and every single time you think one thing with this team, it goes the other way. You're up 6-1. It looks comfortable. You're cruising. You're going to your bullpen after Aaron Nola. 6 innings, 100+ pitches. Yeah, it's a lot workload in such a short amount of time. It wasn't his most efficient dance, but, based off of the circumstances of what happened in the first and with what happened in the 6th, I think you really do need to appreciate Aaron Nola's performance and not really rip him. Of course, when he makes a play or he doesn't make a play, it goes from he's an ace to he's not an ace. I'm over that. I'm so sick and tired of seeing that every single damn time. Every time he's got a great outing, he's an ace. Every time he doesn't have a good outing, he stinks. No. Aaron Nola is a good pitcher, and you have a really good chance of winning a baseball game when he's on the mound, and you gave you that today. I really enjoyed watching his stuff. The changeup was really smooth, and some of his pitches were just perfect. Sometimes I looked at his curveball, and I started foaming out of my mouth with just pure excitement because the curveball was dropping. I was like, ooh, that was nasty, right? Had some nasty strikeouts in there, 10 Ks in the 6 innings of work. It's not easy. It's not easy to go through a 30-pitch inning knowing when you step on the mound, I want to go deep into this game. I don't want to go to the bullpen. We go to the bullpen too much when we have Vince Velasquez, when we have Chase Anderson, when we have some of our other starters. Sometimes we have to go to the bullpen. I want to give them a rest. We just had Hector Neris play yesterday, and he had to give you 5 outs. I don't want to do that again. Now, ironically enough, they did do that again, but I'm just putting myself in the perspective of Aaron Nola or any starting pitcher. If I go on the mound thinking I'm going to have myself a day and I'm going to mow through the Brewers, and before you know it, you're at 30 pitches. Think about it. You're at 27 pitches, and you still got time to go here in the first inning. That could be deflating, and not everyone can get over that mental hurdle, and that can somewhat snowball out of control where by the 3rd inning, 4th inning, you're just in a really tough spot where you're putting Joe Girardi in the position of picking up that phone to call the bullpen to make sure somebody's warming up. But no, and Joe allowed Nola to work through that, and not everybody does that. You want to go through the gut feel. You want to go through the analytics. I've seen moments this year where my feeling tells me that was all Joe Girardi's gut. Keeping Aaron Nola in there. Allowing Hector Neris to work out of certain spots. Because yesterday when they played, they had Kinsler warming up. Maybe it was just for backup purposes, just in case you really had to go out on a stretch and go out on a limb and make a move. But allowing Hector Neris to continue to grind through a jam. You see Joe Girardi making some gut decisions, and some are getting absolutely ripped apart and destroyed. Others are not even getting discussed, which is kind of funny how it works. Everyone who hates analytics is seeing Joe Girardi make specific moves, and they don't like them. Well, some of these decisions, they're not all analytical based. I mean, you can just tell that some of these are gut feels and a little unorthodox to what you're accustomed to seeing in today's game of baseball. So I do wonder, though, too, with just like the double switching aspect, just to try and switch it a little bit and steer it in another direction to something else. I wonder because we do talk about these double switches a lot with Joe, and he is just obsessed with them at times. I know he managed with the Marlins before, but he spent a lot of time in the AL. And there's a big difference managing games when you're in the National League compared to the American League. And I wonder how much of this is him just trying to get readjusted or him trying to do too much, or sometimes he is being informed what to do. I'm sure there is a combination of both. I remember with Dave Dombrowski earlier in the season, he was asked about closer roles, asked about bullpen roles, and he kind of put his hands up and said, that's Joe Girardi's job to figure out. So I do think with Dave Dombrowski, there is this element to gut feel. And I also think that there's this element of analytics too, because let's not be naive here. There is a big bonus in utilizing analytics. Not every team has to use them the way that the A's do or the way that the Tampa Bay Rays do, but they still help you out tremendously, and you want to find a good mix of both. And I wonder how many of these double switches is gut feel, how many of these double switches is this is the time to do it based off of the numbers, how much of it is, like the combination of it all, because I do sense that some of these decisions are purely Joe going out on a limb, and then there's some times where it's more number-based. So which one is it, when, and, where? We have anytime hotline calls, as you could imagine. Before we hop on over to there, though, the hits literally keep on coming. From one boxing event to the next, they grow in excitement and anticipation. And this weekend is no different, with two of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the ring Saturday night. There's no better place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all new users a shot to turn $1 into $55. To celebrate this weekend's huge event, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering new users the opportunity to get 50-1 odds on the main event fighter to win this weekend's fights. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them a chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, you guys ready? And before we kick things off here, you know how the other day, if you listened to, I think, did I mention this on the Phillies pod or the Sixers pod? I forget. But I was super dehydrated. I had a migraine. I never get that, right? But I don't drink enough water. Well, I went on this binge here of just filling up this water bottle of 32 ounces 5 billion times today. Not only that, I made the switch. So I've been getting heavy into some Pepsi, a Dr. Pepper, Azalea. I go through phases with soda. All right, this is 0-calorie soda. 0 calories. It's got 0 sugar, caffeine, which is what I'm looking for. This thing is absolutely insane. It's called Zevia. I don't even know the proper pronunciation. But all I know is this thing is absolutely amazing, and I'm just on a huge, insane kick. I'm going to have to go try some other flavors. This is the Dr. Pepper version. Might go Mountain Dew. I bring that up because I feel like when I go to the Anytime Hotlines, normally when I start taking my drinks, I realize that is a common situation here on Sports Talk with Brodes, and I don't want people to think that like I'm some psychopath that just drinks soda 24/7. There is other things in my life, I swear, and now I've made the change. And the other thing, too, is coffee, if you didn't know. But anyway, enough of me. Let's get to you.
Team really knows how to get your nerves up, don't they? Just another one-run game, and I'm just really happy that we finally managed to win 2 games in a row. Aaron Nola, he didn't have his best stuff tonight, but if you're off and you only give up 1 run in 6 innings, that's a sign that you're pretty damn good. Connor Brogdon sucks. Let's just leave it at that. David Hale also sucks. Well, let's leave it at that as well. Sam Coonrod has been a real find. He's been a real find, and he has looked really good for the most part this year. And I love to see a sweep, and let's keep this momentum going as long as we can keep it going.
I don't know why we're going with Connor Brogdon sucks. I mean, he was in the bullpen at one point, but unless you mean Jojo Romero, is that what you meant here? Jojo Romero? Am I missing something? I don't know why, unless you're taking a shot for what Connor Brogdon did yesterday, which would be very unfair. Because, first off, to say Connor Brogdon sucks in general is a very flawed statement. I mean, the kid is very young in his career. Just real quick, if you are going to rip apart someone like Connor Brogdon for maybe what he did last game, if that is maybe the mindset and maybe got games mixed up and combined, to act as if a young bullpen pitcher like Connor Brogdon is not going to experience any sort of ups and downs throughout a career is just totally unfair. I've seen enough out of him where I realize there's something in there. He does have an attitude. He does have an edge. You need that. That's step one. If you don't have that in the bullpen, good luck. You're not going to be anything at all. Now, I do find it funny, though, with Los Santos, right? Because out of all this drama that we witnessed tonight, Los Santos, let's not act like this guy's a world beater. Let's not act like this guy is some phenomenal piece that they were missing for so long that they finally got back and he was going to give you shutdown innings. Now, is he a better option than David Hale? Yeah, no doubt about it. I think I'm a better option than David Hale at this point. But to act as if Los Santos was just going to walk into that spot and deliver with ease and give you a 1-2-3. Los Santos has struggled before as well. Now, to be fair, if I'm going to say something about Connor Brogdon and him having some ups and downs, is Los Santos allowed to have some ups and downs too? Sure, he has had some, but I do think it's funny that out of all this conversation, all this topic of what happened with Joe Girardi in that specific moment, something that's getting thrown under the radar and just slipped under the rug is Los Santos has had some time in the major leagues where it hasn't been the smoothest, and he has been squared up before, and he could have got annihilated too. It's not as if Los Santos was Mariano Rivera coming through the door here and going to shut down the Brewers for the rest of the way. Just being honest. Aaron Nola, the assessment's fair on Aaron Nola. You're right. To think about the night that he had and how much that he really had to put everything out there, and he had to maneuver through some ugly innings to only allow one earned run with all that and it just being a home run there. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really solid, productive day out of Aaron Nola. He kept you involved, and he had some help offensively as well. When you start getting that run support early on, I talk about how crazy it could be mentally if you're at 30 pitches after one inning and you especially don't have the lead, even though it could have been significantly worse. You don't have the lead, or you gave up the lead in the first inning. Think about having that run support and how much that can help out your starting pitcher. The fact that your offense allowed your starting pitcher to get more comfortable. All right, you know what? My pitch count was high, but we're up 6-1. Hey, my pitch count wasn't smooth early on, but now I can get comfortable and I can just focus on throwing my pitches and working what I need to with this count and working on my changeup here. And, hey, let's use the curveball there. And, hey, maybe we could throw that two-seamer here. Let's start working on what makes me feel like Aaron Nola again. And I can do that because my squad has my back, because Kutch ties the game up 1-1 in the bottom of the first, because Kutch takes the lead 2-1 right after that, because in the third inning as well, you got this power going from Brad Miller and the rest of your lineup. JT might get some help defensively when it comes to the Brewers making an error, but they don't ask how, they ask how many, and it's putting the ball in play, and it's scoring a run for you. So, that was just monstrous, helping out Aaron Nola offensively. We haven't heard much of that in general this year.
Think of all the money Scott Kingery, whatever his name is going to be sucking out of the Phillies for the next, what is it, 3 or 4 years? Oh, my God. Could get a pretty good center fielder or pretty good pitcher with that money, I would think.
You're not wrong, but I feel like that is the most random comment after today's game. Scott Kingery's name or face or body or jersey or anything Scott Kingery related did not pop up in my head for 1 second today. So, yeah, you're not wrong, but that's a whole different regime, a whole different situation, a whole different time zone, a whole different time frame. I just don't know how that's relevant at all. So I'll be honest with you. I'm a little stunned, and I don't even know what to say to a comment like that. So, yeah, could you have spent that money on a pitcher or a center fielder? Probably. Was that years ago that contract was given out, where this and where we are today, this team right now, and that, the correlation, I don't really know what to tell you. I feel like that's random as hell.
Brodes, how do they make it look this hard? This game should have been over. Yeah, I'm happy that they won. But could there be a more disgusting way to win a baseball game? Why did it have to be that hard? I'm happy, but I'm kind of not.
Yeah, I was going to say, your tone does not sound very happy. Monotone, and why does it have to be this way? Why? Why do they have to win games this way? This is the most disgusting way to win. And I think that's telling, though. I don't think it's wrong to feel that way. They're 500 for a reason, and they're in first place, may I add. So we're watching a first place baseball team go at it. How about that? It's a little bit easier to put your feet up at night. It's a little bit easier to slip underneath the covers and lay with your dog at night, knowing that your Philadelphia Phillies are in first place. All jokes aside, yeah, I think it's natural to feel that way because it just shows you, and it's somewhat of a defining situation, what happened today on where this team is, like a mental hiccup from front office, from the Phillies, from Joe Girardi, from the entire team. Like the lineup situation, no matter who it falls on, it just shows you the hiccups involved with the entire team right now. Rhys Hoskins trying to take second, that's a problem. David Hale is a problem. Having to force Coonrod to throw a 5-out save after you just did it yesterday with Hector Neris is a problem. All this is a problem, right? Roman Quinn getting injured. I mean, that's something that isn't random. That's something that has been a problem for his career all throughout to this point. So add that layer to this mix too, because that matters to me. Here's a center fielder that everyone wanted to rely on. Now, it's something freaky. It's something different. But how many times has Roman Quinn been injured? You're not going to miss something insane out of him. I mean, yes, over the last 3 games, it's been better than what he has provided. But still, I mean, he's not like a lethal, insane, wild player that is anything relevant to this point. So it's not the end of the world, but that's something that happens. Everything that occurred today, all the drama, is what this team is. So they're going to battle out wins this way, and it's going to feel this way majority of the time because this is who they are. We ask, why don't they blow out teams? Why can't they win 6-1? Why can't they win 10-1? Why does it have to be one-run games? Because that's the type of team they are. They are this team that is this ugly team that's mediocre, that's 500. They play 500 baseball. Great emotional wins, ugly, terrible losses. And I'm with you when it comes to it seems, at least, and maybe this is just because we're more invested and we study baseball with the Phillies heavier than we study league-wide every single pitch, night in and night out. But the losses that the Phillies take or the wins that they end up coming away with, they just seem so more ridiculous, way more ridiculous than any other team out there, doesn't it? Like, the extremes are so extreme. But like I said, if we watch the Chicago Cubs or if we watch the Atlanta Braves or, if we watch them pitch by pitch by pitch by pitch by pitch, the way that – and I actually I'd say I do a fairly decent job at watching around the league. I have the MLB TV app, so I have every out-of-market game. I watch on my iPad every night when I'm laying in bed when my fiance's sleeping. I crawl back into bed super late. She goes to bed like 9:30, so I got the iPad on my chest, and I'm watching games all throughout the league. Like, I watch a ton of league-wide stuff, which is, I would say, rare in baseball. It's a very regionalized sport where most people just focus on their region, their team, and maybe their division. But my point is this. This team seems to have the crazy swings to like a wild level that is disgusting.
What's going on, Brodes? I always shit on the 76ers for not being able to put away teams. Holy shit, the Phillies are so much worse. Like, the bullpen, I don't know why I got my hopes up after the first week of the year, but I guess we got the job done. McCutchen, I'm not going to buy into it yet. Like, if he can do this for a couple of weeks, then, yeah, McCutchen's back. But, like, it's been 2 good games for McCutchen. So, I mean, I'm happy at home run. And just final thought, I think I'd like to see Sam Coonrod be our closer instead of Neris. He struggles a little bit with control, but I would sooner have a guy with a legitimate off-speed pitch that can throw 100 like Coonrod over Neris, who kind of has a splitter. And if Neris' splitter's off, he's useless.
I'm not anti your point of Hector Neris with just the fact of, could you try something new? Yeah, possibly. There's a few things I want to touch on there. So, with the bullpen as a whole, you don't have Alvarado, which is a huge game changer. You're using David Hale, who was a part of the issue last year, so why would we expect anything different to really play out? When you use guys from last year, it doesn't seem to be very successful. When you try some of your newer guys, like your bullpen isn't perfect. You went from the second worst bullpen in MLB history to just an average bullpen. Now you have an average bullpen. You're going to blow leads. You're going to lose games because of your bullpen, but they're also going to help you shut the door as well. I think for the most part this year, there's been some ugly moments, definitely, and a lot of that has been when guys weren't available and things like that, where maybe the COVID-19 list came into play and you had to utilize some other players and you were limited. That's when it was the weirdest for him so far this year. But ultimately, they're not perfect. They're not a great bullpen. You just went from the second worst ever. So to pluck away at that and to make it somewhat reasonable, to think it's going to be one huge extreme in one offseason is just unfair, realistic expectations, right? Like, if we're going to be real about this, you go from second worst MLB in history, like a failure, the second worst bullpen ERA ever, to average. Well, that's a pretty good jump. That's a severe jump, and that's pretty much where you're at, honestly. With Andrew McCutchen, and real quick with Coonrod, I should say, there was a stretch a couple of weeks ago where he was awful, and be like, oh, here we go, Sam Coonrod, and now he looks good, and we want him as our closer. This is what bullpen pieces do. They give you good stretches, they get beat up a little bit. Then they respond, and then they get beat up a little bit. Coonrod's on a nice ride right now, and he might get beat up again. I mean, it's just what these high velocity guys we saw with Alvarado. It's just the nature of the beast. So just like you're not sold on Andrew McCutchen after this game, I don't think it's fair to just be sold on Sam Coonrod to the point where he's your closer now just because of this good outing. He has the ability to. Alvarado, Coonrod, Neris, they all have the ability to. So I think in certain moments you might get an opportunity like this for someone else to flash their skill set in a closing role, but I wouldn't go overboard. In terms of McCutchen, you mentioned they got to do this for weeks, or he has to do this for weeks before you believe. I mean, 3 home runs in 2 games and all. I don't know if that's sustainable. I think that's unfair to ask him to be that good, but I think you've seen him take better cuts. You've seen him take better hacks. You got to admit that 150 is not who Andrew McCutchen is, so he's better than that. Is he this type of guy where he's hitting 2 home runs in a game? No. But that's why we always talk about the back of the baseball card eventually shows its head. So you're going to have to you make up for that. If you end up hitting 150 for a little bit, and that's not who you are, and you're a 250 hitter, want to get back to 250, at some point you might go through a window of time where you're hitting 335 to get yourself back up. You're statistically going to get back to who you are. I see Kutch as a 250 guy. So to get back to 250, he might go through a week or two of hitting 335, 340, and then he'll cool off a bit and he'll hit like 280, and then maybe he'll hit 225, and then maybe he'll hit 315, and he'll just go through these stretches of I mean, that's baseball. It's baseball 101, right? And I think it's clear that Kutch is somewhat turning the corner. That's for sure. That's the way I see it, at least. So anyway, I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out and listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time.